Europe. A continent where 20 minutes of driving can take you across an international border, change the language on the signs, and alter the very aroma of the food in the air. It is a dense, breathtaking tapestry of living history, avant-garde design, and natural wonders that seem almost engineered to leave you speechless. But with thousands of years of culture packed into one continent, where do you actually begin? Grab your notebook, hit that subscribe button, and let's dive deep into the ultimate European bucket list. 1. Rome, Italy. We begin in the Eternal City. Rome isn't just a place where history happened, it is a place where history actively breathes down your neck at every street corner. You can be walking past a modern espresso bar, look down, and realize you are stepping on stones laid down by the Roman Empire 2,000 years ago. The scale of Rome requires you to slow down. Don't just rush through the Colosseum and the Roman Forum to cross them off a list. Stand still beneath the massive concrete dome of the Pantheon, an architectural marvel that still holds the record for the world's largest unreinforced concrete dome after nearly 2 millennia. When the midday heat peaks, do what the locals do, duck into the cooler cloisters of the Vatican museums, or retreat to a hidden trattoria in Trastevere. Order a plate of authentic cacio e pepe or carbonara, where the heat of the freshly drained pasta emulsifies egg yolks and sharp pecorino romano into a velvety sauce without a single drop of cream. Rome demands your senses, not just your camera. 2. Paris, France. It is easy to dismiss Paris as a cliché, but clichés exist for a reason. The moment you step out onto the wide, limestone boulevards designed by Baron Haussmann in the 19th century, you understand the city's gravitational pull. Paris is a masterclass in urban aesthetics. To truly experience it, bypass the massive lines at the Louvre's Glass Pyramid for at least one afternoon. Instead, lose yourself in the hilly, artistic enclave of Montmartre, winding your way up past the ivy-draped cafes to the steps of the Sacré-Cœur. Watch the city sprawl out beneath you as the street musicians play. Paris is best digested in small, slow moments, the shattering crunch of a perfectly laminated croissant from a neighborhood boulangerie, the smell of old paper along the bouquinist stalls by the Seine, and the quiet awe of standing before Monet's massive water lily canvases in the Musée de l'Orangerie. It is a city that rewards the aimless wanderer. 3. London, United Kingdom. If Rome is antiquity and Paris is romance, London is the bustling, multicultural engine of the continent. Sprawling across the banks of the River Thames, London seamlessly fuses royal pageantry with cutting-edge global culture. Spend your mornings exploring the brooding, centuries-old stones of the Tower of London, where the crown jewels flash under heavy guard, and your afternoons diving into the downright dizzying array of food stalls at Borough Market. Here, the aromas of sizzling British meat pies mix with fragrant Indian curries and fresh oysters from the Jersey coast. What makes London so uniquely captivating is its distinct neighborhoods. You can jump from the pristine, pastel-colored townhouses of Notting Hill straight into the grit, neon, and boundary-pushing street art of Shoreditch within a 20-minute tube ride. It's a global capital that feels like dozens of distinct villages stitched together by history. 4. The Amalfi Coast, Italy. South of Naples lies a stretch of coastline so intensely dramatic it feels theatrical. The Amalfi Coast is a vertical landscape. Here, pastel-hued villages like Positano and Amalfi don't expand outward, they cling precariously to the sheer limestone cliffs, stacked on top of one another above the glittering, cobalt-blue waters of the Tyrrhenian Sea. Driving the narrow, hairpin curves of the coastal road is an adrenaline rush in itself, but the true magic is found on foot. Hike the famous Path of the Gods high above the clouds, where you are treated to unobstructed views of the entire coastline framed by wild herbs and lemon orchards. Down in the towns, the air smells perpetually of salt water and massive, sweet Amalfi lemons. Sip on locally produced limoncello as the sun dips below the horizon, painting the cliffside houses in shades of burnt orange and dusty pink. 5. Santorini, Greece. Now we venture to the Cyclades Islands of Greece, where Santorini stands as a striking testament to the power of nature. This crescent-shaped island is the remnant of one of the largest volcanic eruptions in human history, which left behind a massive, sea-filled caldera. Perched on the rim of the sheer black cliff face are the iconic, whitewashed villages of Fyra and Oia. The architectural contrast is staggering, blindingly white stucco walls, brilliant blue-domed churches, and the deep, endless blue of the Aegean Sea stretching out below. While thousands gather in Oia every evening to watch the sunset, try exploring the island's interior. Visit the preserved prehistoric ruins of Akrotiri, or head down to the unique red and black sand beaches colored by volcanic minerals. Pair the stark views with a crisp glass of local Acertico wine, grown in unique basket-shaped vines designed to protect the grapes from fierce Aegean winds. 6. Barcelona, Spain. On the Iberian coast, Barcelona operates on its own distinct, energetic rhythm. This is a city where dinner doesn't begin until 10 p.m., and the architecture feels like a waking dream. That dream is largely courtesy of Antoni Gaudí, the legendary modernist architect whose organic, nature-inspired style defines the city's visual identity. You cannot miss the La Sagrada Familia, a cathedral that has been under continuous construction for over a century. Step inside, and you'll feel like you've walked into a stone forest, with massive pillars branching upward and stained glass windows flooding the interior with an ethereal, kaleidoscopic light. Beyond the architecture, Barcelona is a feast for the senses. Wander through the Gothic Quarter's labyrinth of medieval streets, grab a plate of Iberian ham and patatas bravas at a bustling tapas bar, and then wind down your day with a stroll along the Mediterranean boardwalk of Barceloneta Beach. 7. Dubrovnik, Croatia. Nicknamed the Pearl of the Adriatic, Dubrovnik feels entirely suspended in time. Enclosed by a massive run of intact stone defensive walls built between the 12th and 17th centuries, the old town of Dubrovnik is a uniform masterpiece of terracotta roofs and gleaming white limestone streets. The best way to understand the scale of this fortress city is to buy a ticket to walk the full 2-kilometer loop on top of the walls. From this elevated vantage point, you look down on a bustling maze of Baroque churches and lively squares on one side, and the crystal-clear, shimmering Adriatic Sea on the other. When the afternoon sun gets heavy, locate the hidden doorways in the outer sea walls to find the Buza bars, cliffside drinking spots clinging to the rocks outside the fortress, where you can dive straight into the cool ocean water right off the rocks. 8. Interlaken and the Jungfrau region, Switzerland. We move away from the coastlines and climb high into the roaring heart of the Swiss Alps. Interlaken, nestled neatly between the brilliant turquoise waters of Lake Thun and Lake Brienz, serves as the ultimate gateway to the legendary Jungfrau region. This is a landscape of scale. Towering above the green valleys are three of Europe's most fearsome and magnificent peaks, the Eiger, the Mönch, and the Jungfrau. Take the mountain cogwheel railways up to villages like Lauterbrunnen, situated in a deep valley featuring 72 plunging waterfalls, or Mürren, a car-free paradise clinging to an alpine cliff edge. In the winter, it's a premier snow sports haven. In the summer, the meadows explode into a vibrant sea of wildflowers, crisscrossed by hundreds of miles of pristine hiking trails. The air up here is so crisp and pure it feels like a tonic for the soul. 9. Vienna, Austria. If Switzerland is the raw grandeur of nature, Vienna is the peak of refined European high culture. As the former seat of the sprawling Habsburg Empire, Vienna feels grand, artistic, and deeply intellectual. The city's architecture is palatial, anchored by the massive Hofburg and Schönbrunn palaces. But Vienna's greatest asset might just be its lifestyle, specifically its world-famous coffeehouse culture. These are not places to grab a quick caffeine fix, they are democratic institutions where you are expected to buy a single coffee, read the provided newspapers, and sit undisturbed for hours. Order a traditional melange along with a slice of rich, chocolate Zauertorte, and sit beneath gilded ceilings where legends like Mozart, Beethoven, and Freud once sat and debated. It is a city that has elevated relaxation into a high art form. 10. Prague, Czech Republic. Often called the City of 100 Spires, Prague is one of the few major Central European capitals to emerge from the World Wars largely undamaged. The result is a stunningly intact architectural timeline stretching back over a millennium, featuring Gothic, Baroque, and Art Nouveau structures side by side. Set your alarm early, around 6 a.m., to walk across the iconic Charles Bridge before the crowds arrive. Watch the morning mist rise off the Vltava River as the stone statues of saints look down on you in silence. From there, wind your way up through the cobblestone alleys to Prague Castle, the largest ancient castle complex in the world. Prague feels deeply atmospheric, almost like a fairy tale with a slightly dark, Gothic edge. And to top it off, it is home to some of the finest, and most affordable, Pilsner beers in the world, served in lively, vaulted underground taverns. 11. Budapest, Hungary. Just down the Danube River sits Budapest, a city forged by the union of two distinct towns, Buda on the rugged hills, and Pest on the flat plains. Budapest wears its history on its sleeve, blending grand imperial architecture with a gritty, bohemian energy. By day, Budapest is a city of wellness. It sits on a network of over 100 natural thermal springs. Soak in the grand, yellow neo-Baroque pools of the Székely thermal bath, where locals play chess directly in the steaming waters. By night, the city transforms. Head into the Jewish quarter to experience the famous ruin bars, vibrant, multi-room bars built inside the shells of abandoned, crumbling pre-war tenement buildings, filled with eclectic, mismatched vintage furniture and local contemporary art. It's an intoxicating mix of old-world elegance and rebellious modern nightlife. 12. Amsterdam, Netherlands. Amsterdam is a triumph of human engineering. Built entirely on reclaimed land and a network of over 90 islands, this city is anchored by its iconic 17th-century concentric canal rings. The best way to see Amsterdam is exactly how the locals do, on two wheels. Rent a bicycle and cruise along the waterways, passing the narrow, beautifully tilting brick houses that characterize the city. Amsterdam boasts an incredible concentration of world-class museums, from the sprawling Rijksmuseum to the deeply moving Anne Frank House. But the city's true charm lies in its neighborhoods like the Jordan. Here, quiet canals are lined with indie boutiques, cozy brown cafes serving deep-fried bitterballen, and floating flower markets. It is a progressive, art-driven capital that maintains a distinct, laid-back village feel. 13. Reykjavik and the Golden Circle, Iceland. We leave the urban centers behind and head northwest toward the edge of the Arctic Circle. Iceland is a country in active geological creation. It is a volatile, starkly beautiful landscape where tectonic plates tear apart, glaciers carve out valleys, and volcanic heat bubbles up right through the crust. Using the colorful, compact capital of Reykjavik as your base, set out along the famous Golden Circle route. Here, you'll witness the sheer, thunderous power of Gullfoss waterfall, see the Strákar geyser blast boiling water 30 meters into the air every few minutes, and walk between continental plates at Ingvellir National Park. Whether you are soaking in the mineral-rich geothermal waters of the Blue Lagoon or hunting the elusive, dancing neon curtains of the Northern Lights in the winter, Iceland feels less like another country and more like an entirely different planet. 14. The Lofoten Islands, Norway. While many flock to the south of Europe for coastlines, the true connoisseurs of dramatic landscapes head far above the Arctic Circle to Norway's Lofoten Islands. This is an archipelago of pure, unadulterated scale. Imagine alpine peaks that look like jagged teeth rising straight out of the turbulent, icy waters of the Norwegian Sea. Lofoten is a place where traditional life stubbornly thrives alongside wild nature. Connecting these sheer islands are narrow bridges and winding roads that lead to historic fishing villages like Rain and Henningsvær. Here, the air smells of salt and drying cod, hanging on massive wooden racks against a backdrop of towering rock faces. Stay in a converted, red-painted rorbu, a traditional fisherman's cabin, and watch the midnight sun paint the peaks in a surreal, endless golden glow during the summer, or watch the northern lights dance directly over the ocean in the winter. It is remote, raw, and fiercely beautiful. 15. Lisbon, Portugal. On the southwestern edge of the continent, Lisbon basks in an average of 300 days of sunshine a year. But it isn't just the weather that makes Portugal's capital magnetic, it is the soul of the city. Built across 7 dramatic hills overlooking the massive Tagus River estuary, Lisbon is a visual masterpiece of pastel-colored buildings, crumbling grand palaces, and sidewalks laid with intricate black and white stone mosaics. To experience Lisbon, you have to embrace the climb. Ride the vintage, clanging yellow wooden trams through the tight, labyrinthine alleys of the Alfama district, the oldest quarter of the city, which survived the devastating 1755 earthquake. As night falls, the air here fills with the haunting, melancholic strains of fado music drifting out of tiny taverns. And no trip here is complete without a pilgrimage to Belém to taste an authentic pastel de nata, a warm, blistered egg custard tart encased in a shatteringly crisp, flaky pastry dough that has remained unchanged for centuries. 16. Edinburgh, Scotland. Stepping into Edinburgh feels like walking directly into the pages of a dark, Gothic historical novel. Scotland's capital is a city built on a landscape of intense geological drama, dominated by the extinct volcano of Arthur's Seat and the massive fortress of Edinburgh Castle, which sits broodingly on a sheer crag right in the center of town. Edinburgh is uniquely split into 2 distinct personalities, the medieval Old Town and the 18th-century Georgian New Town, separated by a lush valley of gardens. Walk down the cobblestones of the Royal Mile, dipping into the narrow, eerie stone alleyways, called closes, that branch off like ribs from a spine. The city feels incredibly atmospheric, with its smoky gray stone architecture, hidden underground vaults, and a deep-seated literary history that has inspired poets, killers, and novelists for generations. It's a city best enjoyed on a misty afternoon, followed by a dram of smoky single-malt Scotch whiskey in a wood-paneled pub. 17. The Isle of Skye, Scotland. If Edinburgh is the cultural heart of Scotland, the Isle of Skye is its untamed, mythical soul. Located in the Inner Hebrides, Skye is an island of high fantasy landscapes that feel almost supernatural. The topography here is defined by ancient landslips that have created otherworldly rock formations. None are more famous than the Old Man of Storr, a massive, solitary pinnacle of basalt that rises like a monolith out of the emerald green hills, looking out over the Sound of Rosse. Drive further north, and you encounter the Quairing, a surreal plateau of cliffs, hidden peaks, and dramatic ridges that look like the setting of an epic cinematic journey. Skye demands that you dress for the weather, the wind howls, the mist rolls in instantly, and the rain transforms the landscape into a canvas of 1,000 spontaneous waterfalls. It is a place of absolute isolation and cinematic grandeur. 18. Bavaria, Germany. Deep in the south of Germany lies Bavaria, a region that embodies the quintessential, fairy tale image of Central Europe. This is a land of dense, dark pine forests, crystal-clear alpine lakes, and the jagged, snow-capped peaks of the Northern Alps. Bavaria is home to Neuschwanstein Castle, the theatrical, 19th-century cliffside palace built by King Ludwig II that directly inspired Walt Disney's Sleeping Beauty castle. But beyond the fairy tales, Bavaria's true charm lies in its deep-rooted cultural traditions. Visit the historic city of Munich, or wander through medieval, timber-framed towns like Rothenburg ob der Tauber. Here, life slows down. Step into a traditional, leafy beer garden, sit at a long wooden communal bench, and enjoy a massive soft pretzel alongside a cold, crisp liter of locally brewed Hefeweizen beer. It's a region that seamlessly blends romantic history with a warm, welcoming hospitality known locally as Gemütlichkeit. 19. Plitvice Lakes National Park, Croatia. Returning to the Balkans, we move inland from the Croatian coast to witness one of continental Europe's greatest natural wonders, Plitvice Lakes National Park. This is a living, breathing aquatic labyrinth. Enclosed by heavily forested hills rich with bears and wolves, the park features 16 terraced, crystalline lakes that naturally spill into one another through a mind-boggling network of cascading waterfalls. What makes Plitvice so visually spectacular is the color of the water. Due to the high mineral content, moss, and constant sunlight, the lakes shift constantly between shades of brilliant turquoise, deep emerald, and electric blue. A system of wooden boardwalks is woven directly over and around the rushing water, allowing you to walk right through the spray of the falls. It feels less like a standard hiking trail and more like exploring a pristine, prehistoric water kingdom. 20. Bruges, Belgium. If you ever wanted to step inside a living, breathing medieval oil painting, Bruges is your destination. Located in the Flemish region of Belgium, Bruges was once one of the world's leading commercial ports, but when its golden river silted up in the 16th century, the city was frozen in time, preserved perfectly from modern industrial development. Today, it is a romantic maze of quiet, swan-filled canals reflecting beautifully preserved, brick step-gabled houses. Walk through the historic market square, dominated by the massive 13th century belfry tower, or take a slow boat ride under low stone bridges. Bruges is a city built for indulgence. The air carries the rich, sweet scent of warm waffle stands and artisan chocolate shops. Pair those sweets with a complex, world-class Belgian Abbey ale at a cozy, candlelit pub that has been operating for over 5 centuries. 21. The Azores, Portugal. To experience Europe's wildest, most isolated frontier, you must look out into the vast expanse of the Atlantic Ocean, roughly 900 miles off the coast of Portugal. Here lie the Azores, an archipelago of 9 volcanic islands that feel like a cross between the dramatic coastlines of Hawaii and the lush, green pastures of Ireland. The main island of São Miguel is a wonderland of geothermal activity. You can hike along the rim of massive, emerald green volcanic craters like Cétades, which holds twin lakes, one vibrant green, the other deep blue. The Azores are entirely untamed by mass tourism, roads are lined with miles of wild blue hydrangeas, natural hot springs bubble up inside lush ironwood forests, and the surrounding deep ocean waters are a sanctuary for blue whales and dolphins. It is a slow, sustainable paradise built for hikers, divers, and those seeking absolute tranquility. 22. Andalusia, Spain. In the far south of Spain, Andalusia is a region of fiery passion, sun-baked olive groves, and a complex cultural history that bridges 2 continents. For centuries, this region was the heart of Moorish Islamic rule in Europe, creating a unique hybrid culture found nowhere else on Earth. This heritage is anchored by architectural marvels like the Alhambra in Granada, a breathtaking palace fortress of intricate stucco calligraphy, geometric tilework, and tranquil, flowing courtyards. In the capital city of Seville, the air smells of orange blossoms, and the streets come alive at night with the raw, emotional power of flamenco, a dance of sorrow and joy born right in these neighborhoods. Andalusia is also the birthplace of tapas culture. Spend your evenings hopping from bar to bar, enjoying chilled glasses of dry sherry alongside plates of local jamon iberico and gazpacho in the warm midnight air. 23. Krakow, Poland. We conclude our grand European tour in Krakow, the historic royal capital of Poland. While many Central European cities faced widespread devastation during the 20th century, Krakow's historic core emerged completely intact, leaving behind the largest medieval market square in all of Europe, the Rhein Glony. Anchored by the magnificent, twin-towered St. Mary's Basilica and the historic Cloth Hall, this square functions as the city's living room. Walk up the royal route to the Wawel Castle, an architectural blend of Romanesque, Gothic, and Renaissance styles sitting proudly above the Vistula River. Krakow feels incredibly vibrant, fueled by a massive student population that fills the atmospheric, vaulted cellar bars of the old Jewish quarter, Kazimierz. It is a city that balances its rich, beautiful cultural heritage with a poignant, deeply moving connection to Europe's modern history, offering a profound and unforgettable final stop on our journey. 23 destinations, each holding enough culture, history, and beauty to fill a lifetime of travel. Europe isn't a place you visit just once to check off a list, it's a place you return to time and time again, discovering a new layer, a new flavor, or a new perspective with every single journey. Now, I want to hear from you. Which of these 23 spots is sitting right at the very top of your travel bucket list? Or did I miss your absolute favorite European hidden gem? Drop a comment down below and let me know. I read and reply to as many as I can. If this video inspired your wanderlust, do me a huge favor, smash that like button, share it with your favorite travel partner, and subscribe to the channel. Turn on those notifications so you never miss our deep dive travel guides. Thanks for watching, keep exploring, and I will see you in the very next video.